Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. So Coach Norvell said that today was a really physical practice. He liked the way the team responded in some of the goal line work. I guess, what did you see from your unit and how they kind of responded to that transition to things getting really physical really quickly?
Yeah, we love physical practices. I mean, every practice opportunity we've gotten has really fit that criteria. Today was more goal line and situationally focused. And so, I mean, I love seeing my guys fly around, get downhill. I mean, they really like contact. I mean, they love it. And so it's always fun to watch them play with passion and to see those guys get after the football.
Hey, Coach. I want to ask you about, with Emmett being down for the moment, how are some of the other guys been able to step up, and are you seeing some of the younger guys being able to come in and fill that role a little bit for you?
You know, one thing I think that's really unique about the linebackers is that just like the rest of the team, our standard is excellence. And these guys, I mean, they work incessantly really to improve. I mean, you talk about youth, but most of the guys in that room played last year. And so they have game experience. So I think youth, from an age standpoint, yes, that's true. But these guys have played in ACC football games, and so they're not young anymore. And it's really fun to watch them play and connect with chemistry. I mean, they really love each other. They compete with one another, and I think that's really good and healthy for a linebacker room.
Yeah, Coach, could you talk about maybe the spring that Amari Gaynor is having? He seems to have made some flash plays in the scrimmages and practice. Do you like what you're getting out of him, and how much room is there still to go?
Yeah, AG has had a really good spring. You know, he's improving significantly fundamentally. You know, he's a tremendous athlete, and I think that he knows that the more that he can improve in the fundamental areas of his game, the sky's the limit for him. He has a tremendous amount of potential, but he doesn't live in that. You know, he lives in the work. He grinds extremely hard. He works. His work ethic is really high, and he's a guy, when you see him at practice, you can tell that he's giving his best. And so guys like that are fun to coach, man, and it's been a joy to just be around them.
Coach, I know you guys ran some 5 defensive back, 6 defensive back stuff last year, obviously when down and distance would dictate it. But going, I guess, mainly to, not mainly, but more of a 4-2-5 look, is there something about that you feel fits the personnel that you're working with, a linebacker a little bit better and what they can do?
Well, you know, Alan, it's a Coach Fuller's vision, and with the personnel that we have, we feel it suits us the best. And so it's been really fun to watch these guys fly around, because more than anything, the players that we have, man, they're students of the game. So whatever we give them, whatever we try to teach, or whatever we try to implement, they absorb it, and it's just try to apply it in the best way that they can. So it's been fun to watch.
Curious to get your thoughts on Stephen Dix Jr. and I guess the areas of growth from him from, say, fall camp last year to now. I guess, where has he made the biggest strides?
Well, you know, with Stephen, he's one of those young men that I was saying that played in games last year, a significant amount. And so even though he may be young from an age standpoint, from a playing standpoint, he has grown tremendously. One thing that I've noticed about him this spring is that you can tell that the game is slowing down a little bit for him. When you're in high school and you're the best player on your team, you're usually moving faster and more physical and just more explosive than everybody else on the field. When you get to Florida State, you're one of everybody else that's on the team who's equally the athlete that you are, or if not better. And so what he learned, especially as an early enrollee, that he had some room to grow. And the thing that I've been really impressed and pleased with from last year to now is that he's put in the work. One thing that's impressive about him, he works extremely hard. He's a student of the game. He's passionate about doing the little things right. And if you ask any one of his teammates or any of the coaches, he has the respect of absolutely everybody because of how he goes about his business. So he's fun to coach.
Yeah, Chris, could you talk? I mean, can you even put into words what it means to have a full spring? You've been around this sport your whole life, and to not have one last year, and to now get a full spring under your belt with your players. How much more do you know about them? Do you learn about your team? Do you learn about their competitive spirit? All of that through the course of this month.
I think when it comes to any sport, particularly football, you get a gauge of who your players are in off-season workouts, who they are from a character standpoint, their work ethic, how they respond to adversity. But one thing that's unique about this game, particularly in my position, is that when you put the pads on, it's a completely different ball game. You know, guys who are football players really show up, and guys who aren't, they have room to grow. And so having a spring this year has been phenomenal, you know, especially when you juxtapose it to not having one last year, right? And so it's been fun. I mean, having 3 to 4 months, or I guess last year having an 8-month window where you don't get on the football field and you don't get on the grass and get the opportunity to teach, compared to a 2.5, 3-month period here this year. I mean, it's no comparing, man.
So Kalen DeLoach is someone who started off like as a starter last season and kind of changed roles a little bit, and now he's moved positions. Like, I guess, how have you seen him kind of handle, I don't know if it's adversity, but just kind of handle all that change and transition? Like, how has he responded to that?
One thing about Kalen is that he can adjust. He can adjust if he knows what's expected of him, if he knows what he needs to get done, and how he can apply the expectations in a way that allows him to be successful. You know, he loves football. He loves being around his teammates, and he's a phenomenal friend. And so he's been fun to watch grow and develop. One thing about him, if he's not afraid to ask questions, and he's not afraid to fly around and hit people. And so those are attributes that you look for when you're a linebacker coach. And so he's been fun to groom and develop, like all of them. He still has room to grow, and he's taken on that challenge, I think, head on. He's grown significantly this spring as well.
Coach, where would a 21-year-old Chris Marve have played in a 2-linebacker set? Which guy would you have been? And then also, I guess, when we think, at least some guys, me personally in the media, when we hear about a 4-2-5, less linebackers on the field, we think maybe there's less responsibilities. How much has sort of changed? Fundamentals are fundamentals, but in terms of roles, assignments, do things change with a kind of a new look?
Well, without giving too much away, you know, I think that our system, or any defensive system for that matter, you know, it requires and demands a lot from linebackers. You know, the communication element, the seeing the big picture, processing information pre-snap, and being able to communicate to the front and to the back end. I mean, that hasn't changed at all, and that's the expectation, and that will continue to be the expectation moving forward. When you ask about me, where would I have played? I hope I would have played anywhere on this field, whatever I could have done to help the team.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thank you, guys.